Hey my beautiful bitches, it's me, Fiona St. James, and welcome to another episode of Fiona's Coffee Talks. And as always, I like to start off every morning with a black, fresh, hot cup of coffee. Hold the cream! I'd love to. In my all-time favorite coffee mug with the quote of the century, life is too important to be taken seriously, so lighten up, people. Coffee and Kahlua, the best way to kickstart any day. So, today's topic, conversation, is actually a continuation of one that you hopefully just saw on pronouns and gender identity. Now, the reason why I wanted to do a second part to this one is because, as you know, I've always said that when I do a video, I don't want to cut anything out in the middle because that is the true, authentic version of who I am. And I noticed when I was playing back the first video, I was like, kind of left out a thing or two. And I saw where I was kind of repeating myself a little bit. And I am human, so of course I'm not perfect. Excuse me, because it was, a topic that, I'm aware of, I kind of wasn't, 100% prepared. So I'd like to reiterate a couple of things. So the whole pronoun world that we're in, cis man, he, she, they, queer, non-binary, gender fluid. What I said in my previous video was that I'm in agreement with all of that if you truly identify with that. I think the problem can be that some people just want to be part of that dialogue. So then they will say, oh, well, I'm this or that, even if they're not fully 100% that. And then, I think also certain words like queer, for example, that might mean certain things to certain people that may not necessarily be universal, so when the more words you have, the more room there is for interpretation of it. And then, your definition of that word could be very different than what someone else's definition is. So I've always said I'm old school. So the good old days where you were like gay or lesbian or straight or bisexual, those definitely were simpler times. And I definitely subscribe to that. It also kind of made me think of a couple of conversations that I've had with people about this very topic. And the one thing that has echoed time and time again is that, we had taken so many steps forward to finally get society to use the terminology that we had, versus all of these derogatory terms like faggot or this or that, so now they were, it was finally they were using the correct word. So now with all of these other pronouns, to them it might be a little more confusing where, they don't necessarily know what all of that means. And the one thing that a few people have said was in terms of where we as gay people had taken so many steps forward to get to this point, they feel that now with all of these new terms, it's made us take a step back. I agree with that to a certain degree. Not everyone, we can agree to disagree. You may not like hearing what I just said, but there is a validity to it. So, that I guess would be the only unfortunate thing is that by now having, being so inclusive and having this broad spectrum of terms, if that suddenly, is making the gay movement, which has taken so long to get to this point, if that suddenly is making it take a little step back, then that's, that's too bad, I guess. But you may not agree with that, or maybe you do, but I know there are people out there who feel that way. And I do too, to a certain degree. And again, with me, it's just because I think there is that chance of it being misused. And then that, unfortunately, I think could lead to, us theoretically taking a step back where the outside people are then going to suddenly be like, well, wait a minute, now they're suddenly not going to take us as serious because now there's so many different things and, a flag for each one. So it all just becomes this big mishmash of things, which, on the one hand is good, but on the other hand, maybe not as clear cut as things used to be. So I am going to make this one short, hard to believe, I know. But what are your thoughts? Do you agree with what some of my friends are saying, or do you think everything is fine, or do you think it's all just, all over the place at this point, and maybe the simpler way of doing or saying things before made more sense? I'm kind of on the fence. Like, I get it, but at the same time, old school Fiona, honey, we like, the change is great. I get that. But, change should be great if people are not misusing it. So leave your thoughts, leave your comments, let me know what you think. I'm curious to hear that. The other thing I'm going to do is, with my first video, I'm going to make an attempt to see if I could actually maybe edit a little bit out in the middle. I'm a little hesitant on that because, as you know, my philosophy is that first thought or that first take is the most authentic thing. But I also don't want to come across like I'm rambling, so sometimes a girl can ramble. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. As always, I love being here with you. I love doing this, so thanks for listening. Bye.